let's get right into it. We're looking at a perfect storm gathering over the global economy. What we're seeing is a collision of two massive crises, and it's pushing the world's supply chains right to the breaking point.
And to be clear, the date is today, April 2nd, 2026. This isn't some historical recap or a future prediction. Nope, this is happening right now, and the consequences, they're literally unfolding by the hour.
And this quote, man, it just gets right to the heart of it, doesn't it? The world looks nothing like it was promised. Think about it. A year ago, the big promise was this revitalized American industry. But today, the reality is a system that's just teetering on the very edge of chaos. So what on earth happened?
Well, the answer is that two massive storm fronts are colliding. On one hand, you've got this intense, immediate geopolitical crisis that has basically choked off a vital energy artery. And on the other hand, there's this long-running, chronic trade war that's been weakening the entire system from the inside out for the past year.
So let's tackle that first storm front, the immediate threat, this energy choke point. This is the crisis that's happening in real time, the sudden shock that's sending tremors through the market literally as we speak.
Okay, get this. For 33 straight days, the Strait of Hormuz, the waterway where a huge chunk of the world's oil flows, has been completely unnavigable for commercial ships. A critical global artery is just blocked. And the scariest part? There's no concrete plan to reopen it.
And you better believe the market is reacting violently. Just this morning, oil prices jumped another 8%. The Dow, it dropped over 600 points right at the open. This isn't some problem for tomorrow. The financial pain is here, right now, and believe me, it is getting worse.
Meanwhile, the threats behind this whole blockage are just escalating. Iran's IRGC has basically vowed that not a single liter of oil will get through, and they're threatening to drive prices to an absolutely unheard of $200 a barrel. And don't just dismiss this as talk. Economists are now warning these scenarios are extremely plausible.
And this timeline? It shows just how tight the squeeze is. We're already seeing demand in Asia plummet. But the real deadline, the drop-dead date, is mid-April. We're talking 2 weeks. If that strait isn't reopened, the global oil supply loss doubles. It becomes the single largest crude disruption in history, period. Okay, so that's the first storm. Now let's look at the second one. This isn't that sudden shock to the system. Think of this more like a chronic illness, a condition that has left the entire global supply chain weak, fragile, and just perfectly vulnerable to the energy crisis we're seeing now. So it's been exactly 1 year since what was called Liberation Day, when these massive tariffs were put in place. And the promise, remember, it was all about bringing manufacturing jobs back home to the U.S. But the reality? Well, it's brutal. Instead of a boom, the U.S. has lost 89,000 manufacturing jobs. And the cost of it all? It got passed straight to you and me, to the tune of a $1,500 tax increase for the average household. So you gotta ask, where did the work go? Well, companies got smart. They played this clever little shell game. They moved the final assembly of their products from China to places like Vietnam, just enough to get around the tariffs. But here's the catch. The core components, all the high-value stuff, was still coming from China. And now, that whole workaround is in the crosshairs. The U.S. is launching new investigations into the very countries that were supposed to be the escape hatch.
So what happens when this sudden violent energy crisis slams head-on into a system that's already been weakened by a year of trade instability? Well, you get exactly what we're seeing now, a full-blown crisis that's hitting every single link in the chain. And the impact is not subtle. It's immediate and it's stark. U.S. container imports just fell off a cliff in March. We're talking down 12% from last year. That's the sharpest drop we've seen in this whole cycle. It's the combined punch of the tariffs and this new energy shock. The flow of goods into the country is slowing to a crawl. And it's not just at the ports. This crisis is hitting the roads, and hitting them hard. That mess in Hormuz, it caused diesel prices to surge by over $1 a gallon last month alone. So what are truckers doing? Carriers are now rejecting 14% of the loads they're contracted for because they can make more money on the spot market. What does that mean for us? Capacity is tightening up fast, and shipping costs, they're about to go through the roof. But, amidst all this chaos, something really interesting is happening. There's this massive technological shift going on, and it's drawing a really clear line in the sand between the companies that are sinking in this storm and the ones that are somehow finding a way to navigate right through it. So let's talk about the key innovation here.
something called the self-healing supply chain. The easiest way to think about it is like an AI-powered nervous system. For instance, say it senses a port delay in Los Angeles because of this energy crisis. Before a person even gets a notification, the AI can automatically reroute that container ship to Seattle and even line up the trucks to get it to its final destination. It's all about being proactive, not reactive.
And let me tell you, companies are not sleeping on this. Adoption is happening incredibly fast. A full 70% of companies are now actively investing in these AI tools. I mean, this crisis has made it painfully clear that trying to run a global supply chain with spreadsheets and phone calls, it's just not going to cut it anymore.
And the whole Hormuz crisis is the ultimate real-world test. For companies that haven't made this leap, the difference in performance isn't theoretical anymore. Oh no, it's being measured in actual weeks of delay for their products and millions of dollars in costs they didn't have to pay.
So if there's one thing to take away from all this, it's this. This perfect storm isn't some freak one-time event. This is a glimpse into the new normal. We're talking about an era of constant volatility and nonstop disruption.
Look, the supply chains that are going to survive and even thrive in this environment aren't the ones that just get lucky. They're the ones being intentionally rebuilt from the ground up, designed for the world as it actually is today. Unpredictable, incredibly complex, and moving at lightning speed.
Because success, going forward, isn't about building for that stable, predictable world we were all promised. It's about building for the one we actually live in. And so the only real question left is, are they, and maybe more importantly, are we, ready for it?